Never forget the day a 2018 Lexus RX 350 came into my shop with completely seized rear brake calipers. The owner had just spent $2,100 at the dealership replacing the front brake pads and rotors. But within a week, the car was pulling to the right during braking and the rear wheels were getting dangerously hot. When I pulled the rear wheels off, I immediately saw the problem. The caliper slide pins were completely dry. The rubber boots were cracked and full of rust. The calipers were frozen in place, pressing the pads against the rotors constantly. The inner pads were worn down to bare metal on both sides. The rotors had deep grooves and hot spots. The total damage was $1,800 in new calipers, rotors, pads, and labor. And here is what makes this story infuriating. This entire failure was caused by one thing. Nobody had lubricated the slide pins during the front brake job. Not at the last service. Not at the service before that. Not ever. In America, most shops do not consider slide pin lubrication part of a standard brake job. They replace the pads, maybe resurface the rotors, and send you on your way. Total service time, 45 minutes to an hour. In Japan, brake service takes 2 to 3 hours. Because Japanese mechanics treat brakes as a precision system, not a consumable commodity. They inspect, clean, lubricate, and adjust every component in the brake assembly, not just the pads and rotors, and the results speak for themselves. The average Japanese car in Japan goes 200,000 kilometers without a single caliper replacement. In America, caliper replacements on the same cars happen routinely at 80,000 to 100,000 miles. The difference is not the parts, it is the maintenance philosophy. I have been working on Japanese cars for 19 years, and the Japanese brake maintenance method is the most overlooked money-saving procedure in all of automotive service. Let me explain why American brake service creates problems that Japanese brake service prevents. In a disc brake system, the caliper slides back and forth on two metal pins called slide pins or guide pins. When you press the brake pedal, the hydraulic piston pushes the inner brake pad against the rotor. Then the caliper slides inward on the pins, pulling the outer pad against the other side of the rotor. This sliding motion is what creates even pad wear on both sides. The slide pins must move freely for this system to work correctly. They are coated with a special high-temperature silicone grease and protected by rubber dust boots. Over time, the grease dries out. Moisture and road salt get past the rubber boots. Corrosion forms on the pins. The caliper begins to stick. When a caliper sticks, only one pad contacts the rotor properly. The other pad either does not engage fully or engages unevenly. This causes several cascading problems. Uneven pad wear. The inner pad wears twice as fast as the outer pad. You replace pads twice as often. Rotor warping. The constant pressure from a dragging pad generates excessive heat in specific areas. This causes thickness variation in the rotor, creating a pulsation you feel through the brake pedal. Reduced braking power. A stuck caliper on one wheel means the other 3 wheels must work harder. Your braking distance increases significantly. Increased fuel consumption. A dragging caliper creates constant friction. Your engine works harder to overcome this resistance. I have measured 2 to 4 miles per gallon reduction from a single dragging caliper. Complete caliper seizure. Eventually, the pins corrode so badly that the caliper freezes completely. The pad grinds into the rotor continuously. You smell burning brakes. The rotor turns blue from heat. Both the caliper and rotor are destroyed. The Japanese brake maintenance method, step by step. Here is the complete procedure that Japanese mechanics perform during every brake service. Step 1. Complete disassembly and inspection. Remove the wheel. Remove the caliper from the bracket. Do not let the caliper hang by the brake hose. Support it with a wire hook or bungee cord. Remove the brake pads from the bracket. Remove the caliper bracket from the knuckle. Now you have access to every component. Inspect the slide pins. They should be shiny metal with a film of grease. If they show any discoloration, rust, or pitting, they need attention. Inspect the rubber boots. They should be supple and crack-free. Any crack, tear, or hardening means replacement. Inspect the caliper piston. Push it back slightly with a C-clamp. It should move smoothly with moderate resistance. If it is stiff or uneven, the caliper may need rebuilding or replacement. Inspect the brake hose. Flex it gently. If the outer rubber is cracked or swollen, replace the hose. A deteriorating brake hose can swell internally, acting as a one-way valve that applies the caliper but does not fully release it. Step 2. Slide pin restoration. This is the critical step that American shops skip. Remove both slide pins from the caliper bracket. Clean each pin thoroughly with brake cleaner spray. Examine the pin surface. Surface corrosion can usually be cleaned with fine sandpaper or a Scotch-Brite pad. Heavy pitting requires pin replacement. Pins cost $5 to $15 each. Clean the pin bores in the caliper bracket with a bore brush or a rolled piece of sandpaper. Remove all old grease, corrosion, and debris. Apply fresh, high-temperature silicone brake grease to each pin. Use brake-specific grease only. Do not use general-purpose grease. It cannot handle the heat generated by braking. General-purpose grease melts, runs, and eventually causes the pins to seize worse than before. Reinstall the pins and boots. The pins should slide in and out with minimal resistance. Step 3. Bracket cleaning and hardware replacement. The caliper bracket has 2 grooves where the brake pads sit. These grooves accumulate rust, debris, and old pad material. Use a wire brush to clean them completely. The pad abutment clips or anti-rattle clips in these grooves should be replaced with every pad change. These small metal clips cost $8 to $15 for a set. They provide the correct amount of spring tension to keep the pads centered and prevent rattling. Old clips lose their spring tension and allow the pads to sit at an angle. This causes tapered wear and noise. Most American shops reuse the old clips. Japanese mechanics always replace them. If you made it this far, then consider liking this video, giving it a thumbs up, and subscribing to my channel. This helps me bring you more honest car advice. Step 4. Anti-squeal compound application. Japanese mechanics apply a thin layer of disc brake quiet compound to the back of each brake pad. This is a high-temperature adhesive that dampens vibration between the pad backing plate and the caliper piston. Without this compound, microscopic vibrations between the pad and caliper create the high-pitched squealing sound that so many drivers complain about. The compound costs about $5 per tube and lasts for multiple brake jobs. Apply a thin, even layer to the back of the pad only. Never apply anything to the friction surface. Step 5. Caliper piston service. Before reinstalling the caliper, the piston needs attention. Use a C-clamp or brake caliper tool to push the piston back into the caliper bore. As you push it back, observe the movement. It should retract smoothly with even resistance. If the piston is stiff, hesitant, or moves unevenly, the caliper piston seal may be damaged. For rear calipers with integrated parking brakes, the piston must be rotated clockwise while being pushed back. Using a special caliper windback tool makes this much easier. These tools cost $15 to $25 and last forever. While the piston is retracted, inspect the exposed bore surface. Light surface corrosion can be cleaned with brake fluid and a soft cloth. Heavy corrosion means caliper replacement. Step 6. Reassembly and bedding. Reinstall the bracket with clean, properly torqued bolts. Install new pad clips. Install properly prepared pads. Slide the caliper over the pads and secure the slide pin bolts to the correct torque. Reinstall the wheel. After all wheels are completed, perform a brake bedding procedure. This is another step that American shops almost completely ignore. Drive the car to a safe, low-traffic road. From 40 miles per hour, apply moderate braking to slow to 10 miles per hour. Do not come to a complete stop. Repeat this 8 to 10 times with 30 seconds of driving between each stop. This gradually transfers a layer of pad material onto the rotor surface. This transfer layer is essential for optimal braking performance. Without proper bedding, new pads can develop uneven deposits on the fresh rotors, creating the very pulsation and noise they were supposed to eliminate. The real cost comparison, let me break down the numbers. American standard brake job, new pads $40 to $80, labor $100 to $200, total $140 to $280. Average caliper life before seizure, 80,000 to 100,000 miles. Caliper replacement when they seize $300 to $500 per caliper. Rotor replacement from caliper damage, $100 to $200 per rotor. Over 200,000 miles. Most American maintained cars need at least one set of calipers and 2 to 3 sets of rotors replaced due to damage from neglected slide pins. Total brake cost over 200,000 miles, approximately $2,500 to $4,000. Japanese brake maintenance method. New pads $40 to $80. Slide pin grease $5. New pad clips $15. Anti-squeal compound $5. Extra labor time, add 30 to 45 minutes per axle. Labor, $200 to $350. Total, $265 to $455 per brake service. Average caliper life with proper maintenance, 200,000 miles plus. Caliper replacements needed, 0. Extra rotor replacements, 0. Total brake cost over 200,000 miles, approximately $1,600 to $2,200. The Japanese method costs about $100 to $150 more per brake service because it takes longer and uses more supplies. But it eliminates $1,000 to $2,000 in caliper and rotor replacements over the life of the car. You spend more on each service, but far less overall. And more importantly, your brakes work properly every single day. No pulsation, no squealing, no pulling to one side, no unexpected failures. Japanese engineers designed these brake systems to be maintained this way. When you maintain them properly, they last as long as the car does. Skip the maintenance, and you are on a countdown to expensive failure. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to watch this next video as I am sharing insider tips to help you cut repair costs and keep your car running like new.